I was supposed to before I press start. But okay, I think I'm good now. Hold on, I do gotta pull up one more thing. What the heck are all these? Oh, frick, that's why. Okay, hold on 1 second. Sorry. I was having trouble with my application, and I didn't understand why. And, it was opening a bunch of tabs in my browser that I didn't even see. And, now I see them. Okay. Welcome. I don't think anyone's even here yet. Hold on. Just want to open my thing here so that I can have it. Someone might be here. Well, anyone who might be here, welcome. It's been kind of a crazy day for me. I guess I might just hop right into it. I'm Whiny Winnie, in case you don't know. Welcome to my stream. I'm an emo Pooh Bear VTuber. I'm feeling especially emo today. Yeah, today has been just kind of a day. I don't even know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to stay positive. I don't know. I just feel like doing my thing and whining a little bit today. I need to vent just a little bit and talk about some things. I don't know. I know people who know me know that I have a lot of health issues, and you know, that's part of life. It's just something that I have to deal with. It just kind of is something that came into my life very suddenly, and I haven't gotten very many answers when it comes to what is the real reason or cause behind what's going on. I've been diagnosed with functional neurological disorder, but there's not a whole lot of research behind like what the cause of that is, and a lot of people still have different ideas even behind what functional neurological disorder is exactly. You know, I hear so many different things from so many different people and from so many different doctors, and some people even believe that functional neurological disorder isn't even a real thing. And then I feel like with that, when I do get worse or just get sick, I don't know, I kind of get brushed off. And it's not fun. Recently, I've gotten like really sick. Hi, Shadow. Thanks for coming. Yeah, recently I've gotten really sick. New and worsening symptoms that I don't think are related to my FND. And went to the doctor, went to an urgent care the other day first. And at least got some antibiotics and some steroids, and that did help with some swelling and stuff that I had going on in my neck. Had some like nodules, some lumps and stuff swelling up. And at least that is starting to go down, and so I feel better about that. But I still have some other things going on, some really bad weakness and fatigue. Also just like this burning pain and sensation just in my bones and body, which, I mean, part of that with the weakness and fatigue and all of that pain, I mean, it might just be because of the other thing that I'm really worried about, which is the fact that I can't eat, like, which is the biggest thing. And I have this feeling of like complete fullness and pain and like nausea in my stomach that keeps getting worse and worse. And I went to the doctor today to get checked out on all of these things. And I like my doctor a lot. I have had a really good experience with her so far. She has not been my doctor for very long, but I think I've seen her twice since I've had her, and so far it's been really good experiences. But then today, I don't know. It was not a good experience. Not at all. I just felt really disregarded, really kind of disrespected. Yeah. And I'm not very good at, I don't know, advocating for myself when it comes to situations like that. I try my best. I don't know. I've never been good at standing up for myself. I should have asked my grandma to come in with me. I told her I would be fine this time because I trust my doctor. I trusted this doctor. But I do usually ask someone to come into the doctor's office with me because I don't like to go alone, because I'm not good at, standing up for myself or advocating for myself in any way when it comes to my health and my needs. But I have trusted this doctor so far, and I felt like she knew what she was doing. So what I have for Swig, she goes to say he asked for no pickles. Yeah. Some of us need that, And but I felt like I trusted this doctor, and then today, I don't know. Basically, like, I mean, she did look at the bumps. She looked at my ears and my mouth, and she was worried about my teeth, which, I mean, I haven't gone to the dentist for a while, and she did say I should. And so I will go ahead and make an appointment with my dentist. I know I haven't gone to the dentist in a while. It's bad. I and I know I don't brush my teeth enough these days. With my sensory issues that I deal with now, brushing my teeth is harder than it used to be just because of the pain that I get. But I should push myself to do it more. There's so much stuff that I need to push myself to do more, despite the crap that I deal with now. Like, I just need to be a grown-up and force myself through it. It's just like when you start facing, I guess, new. Hi, Keiki. Welcome. Thanks for coming, babes. It's just like when you start facing these like new experiences that are really unpleasant, I think it's hard to like force yourself to deal with them, I guess. I don't know. Like, I think it takes work to adapt. And I can be lazy. Believe me. I am definitely a lazy person. Believe you me. But yeah, aside from that though, then she did like press on my stomach and she noticed the amount of pain I was in from that. And then I felt like she kind of just brushed it off. And she said that like, oh, well, like you had already said something about like your lack of appetite and your weakness and fatigue, which I had said stuff about weakness and fatigue before because I have FND. So she knows I have chronic fatigue and weakness, but I've never said anything to her about a lack of appetite before. Now, she put me on an appetite suppressant in the past to help with weight loss. If that is what is causing this problem. And I sent her a message about this later. I left the office in tears after everything that happened, so I did not get to talk to her that much. I just was so upset about everything, and I'll tell you more about what happened. But yeah, cakes, and that's what I'm talking about. But it just really felt like she wasn't really listening to me, or she was like, and sometimes she does this thing where she says something or seems to think something about like, seems to think that we've done something or like had a talk about something that we have never discussed before, or just based off of like, I think information that she has in her computer. And I don't know. Because that was another thing. So she did say she wants to get me an ultrasound for, I guess, the lumps. And then she was talking about like sending me to the lab or whatever. I don't know where the lab is. But she was like, you know where the lab is, right? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, yeah, you do. Is what she said. She said, because like I've gotten you labs before in January. She wasn't my doctor in January. So I don't know what she's talking about. Maybe she has information on labs that I had in January. But see, like when she says stuff like that, she doesn't like even give me a chance to correct her because she's just talking so fast. And today was a day where it was like she was kind of like going like that and everything, like, and because it was all going so fast and she was just saying all this stuff, and then it came to the point too. So when we were talking about the lump on my collarbone, and we had discussed the fact that it could be a bug bite, and I have started to be like, okay, yeah, because the swelling has started to go down and there has been itchiness and stuff now, I think, yeah, it's very possible it could be a bug bite. And we had talked about, she had asked me if I have been, like, we had talked about the possibility of bed bugs because I told her about, like, how I got it and everything. She asked if I had seen any bugs, if I'd everything, and I told her I woke up with it. We talked about the pus. She asked me if there was a place outdoors where I could have, like, brought stuff in. She also asked me about, like, my family members, if they've struggled with anything, like getting bit, things like that. We did discuss, hold on, I need a drink of water. We did discuss, like, if the fact that like it's only one bite, and and bed bugs would usually leave a lot more bites, but because it is just like a really weird situation that it's just like one big bite on the collarbone. Weird place too, just gotta say. But then I just kind of said like I mostly am in my room is what I said. And so she took that as, oh, so you just spend all your time in your room. And she was like, well, that's really bad for your health. And so the reason why you're sick is because you're just in your room all the time. You're not doing anything. And she was like, I think you're just in this despair, and you're just in this endless cycle where, and we had talked about, because in the past she has given me yoga to do, and I haven't done as much of it as I should, because at the time when I tried to do it, I was really sick and weak, and it ended up exhausting me too much. And I do have a lot of exercise intolerance, but and a part of that is from the FND. And sometimes I should push myself to do more exercise despite that. But the thing is, it's doing a lot of exercise. Like, I could go for one lap around the park and then I could be sick for 3 days. And then, or sometimes like I'll go for a walk to the park, or I'll even just like do the dishes, like even just standing to do the dishes. Sometimes doing the dishes, I have to take, just doing like one load of dishes, I have to like take 3 breaks. Like, and this is not something that has like happened over time because I got used to just like sitting around. This is something that like happened very suddenly from me all of a sudden getting this condition. Like, I used to exercise quite frequently. I would go on several walks a day for hours and hours because I liked to go on walks. I like to be out in nature. I like to listen to music and get lost in thought. I wish I could still go on walks. I especially I miss that alone time outside and everything. It's hard to, and every once in a while I still will go out and try and go on a walk. I get nervous sometimes, especially though doing stuff like that alone outside, because the dogs from my last job were really bad too. Yeah. I get nervous trying to do stuff like that outside alone too, though, because I mean, like last time I went for a walk to the park, I ended up having a seizure and had to call my grandma to come pick me up. And it's like stuff like that too. Like if I do too much, I could cause my body to go into something like that. And then like a lot of times when I talk to doctors about this, what I get is, well, and I don't know if this is because of my weight, that they think, oh, it's just because you're not used to exercise, so you just need to get used to exercise. Like, I was doing plenty of exercise before. I just don't get it. Why am I like all of a sudden not used to exercise? And it like makes me sick now. And makes me have seizures. And then the big thing too that really like bothered me is like she's trying to say that I'm depressed and I need to go see a counselor and everything, which I was already looking for a counselor just because of, I think it's important to, check in on that stuff on the regular anyway. But it's the fact that she's trying to like accuse me of being depressed when she has no idea what's going on in my life. Like, when she said, like, you're just in this despair. Like, as if she could read my mind and know what's... That just really rubs me the wrong way, you know? Like, I don't know. Especially because a lot of doctors have this stigma about functional neurological disorder, and that it's just like, oh, it's just depression or it's just anxiety. It's not like a real, like, I don't know. So yeah, I ended up sending her a long message just trying to communicate how I felt about the whole thing. Understand how you feel about that. They just go to conclusions before actually feeling like they're listening. Yeah, exactly. Like, I felt like she was just talking and not actually trying to hear how I felt, you know, why I was there. Like, you know, and, you know, maybe she was just making those assumptions because in the past, you know, in some of my appointments, she has done some mental health assessments on me, and some of them have not had fantastic scores, but it's been a little while since she's seen me, and I've been doing much better. You know, I I have lows and highs, you know. I think everybody does. You know, and um to be honest too, despite, you know, my bombastic energy that most people see on the outside, I have a sort of melancholy personality. That's just the way I am. I am the type of person who... Hold on, I need more water. Talking a lot, and... I am the type of person who... And that's not to say that I'm hopeless. Like, that I think that there's no hope. Like, I think that there's always hope. And I'm not, like, constantly, like, you know, thinking about, like, doing anything, like, bad or anything like that. But I just, you know, I get... Let me just say this. Like, I've always had a lot of self-loathing. And despite years of therapy, that's always just been a little bit true. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Some days are better than others, for sure. But I think a lot of that has to do with my personality, for one thing. I think I am just a somewhat melancholy person. And for the other thing, I think a lot of that also just has to do with trauma. And the fact that certain people in my life at a young age put me on this pedestal that I felt I had to live up to, and I never felt like I was ever really good enough. So yeah. And that's a lot. And I'm not going to go into all the nitty-gritty details of my whole childhood trauma and life story. But, you know how it is. It's just life, man. We all got crap. We all got crap that we go through. But I just felt like I needed to vent about everything. And I just felt like streaming today. I don't know. It's been a bit. And there's still so much that I have to do. And I don't know if I'm gonna get it all done. And I've had so much on my mind lately. Well, I've crap, but it's okay to vent about yourself and get it out. Thanks, Cakey. I love you. You're my sweetie pie. My sweet pie cakes. I'm so snorgy. I thought about maybe reading some of my writing today on stream too. I have... Hold on. I gotta pull some stuff up. It'll load. Okay, maybe. Oh wait, that's the wrong tab. Silly Winnie. Silly Winnie. Alright. So most of the stuff, to be honest, though I have been writing a little bit more lately, I was writing a little bit of poetry, I think last night actually. So I've started writing a little bit lately. But I don't write quite as often as I used to. I should get back into the practice of it. But it's a little bit harder. I don't know what it is. It's a little bit harder to stretch my creative muscles compared to when I used to. I love you, Swiggy. It's okay that you're driving. You be safe while you drive. Don't hurt yourself. Hold on, I'm gonna take this and steal it. I'm gonna take the chat and steal it away. If I can. Hey, give me that. Give me that. Give me. Give us the ASMR. Oh, I'll give you the ASMR. I'll give you the ASMR. Can I keep it up if I have that minimized? Maybe not. Wait, I've got an idea. Mr. Krabs, I have an idea. Dude, Lucky has got me stuck on that. I love when she does that. She quotes SpongeBob. Because I like to quote SpongeBob. And I've got an idea that just might work. So crazy that it just might work. Okay. I wish I remembered quotes. My brain struggles to remember my own cell phone number. Yeah. I remember a lot of movie quotes and show quotes. And especially like when I'm rewatching something again, like stuff will come back to me so quickly. But I've always had a really good memory. I was blessed with that. Luckily. Alright. Let's take a look here. really helpful in theater. Because you gotta memorize those lines. Especially monologues. Oh gosh. Which half that crap I don't remember now. But there's some Shakespeare quotes that I kind of remember, but I don't think I remember any of my own lines. I remember some Hamlet, but I don't think we ever did Hamlet. But I think that's just because I like Hamlet. Like, I know, like, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. Like, that's just a quote from Hamlet that I really like. Alright. I gotta figure out which story to read you guys first. I'm probably gonna be embarrassed by some of these. I wrote a lot of these in high school. And recently I've gone back to look at some of them because I knew I was going to do a stream like this. It's funny because I even, like, there's one that I won, like, a first place award for, which it wasn't, like, a big competition or anything, but, like, I won money. And, like, going back and looking at it, I was like, there's grammar mistakes in here. Like, like, very clear ones. I still think it's a good story, though. What sounds good for a first story? You guys want drama, romance, horror? You want a sad story? Like, what sounds good? You want something funny? I'm gonna do probably some of my funny. Okay. Okay, I'll do. This one's kind of funny, I think. I don't think I've reread this one recently, so we'll see how that goes. Hold on. I gotta put it in the dingle. All right. So if you don't know what flash fiction is, I'll explain it. Flash fiction are very short stories under, hold on, under 1,000 words. They are usually pretty open-ended. And kind of like, oftentimes you can leave the ending up to interpretation, I guess. My English teacher in high school used to call flash fiction my niche or whatever. Like, I was very good at writing them. Compared to, like, longer form stuff. I think because when it comes to long form stuff, I sometimes struggle when it comes to, like, so, like, I'm really good at figuring out the beginning and the end of stories. I sometimes have struggles with filling in all the blanks to, you know, finish it all out. So, but when I can leave things kind of open-ended and up to interpretation, and let people figure out, like, what they want to. Hold on. Low latency is on. Oof. Then... Okay. Sorry, 1 second. I don't know if I'm dying. Can you guys see me or hear me? I'm not dying? Okay. It made it seem like I was. But must be good. Okay. Alright, so as I was saying, when I can leave it all open-ended and everything, makes for a better story usually, because I don't have to like fill in all the little blanks. I don't know. I kind of have a short attention span, so I think that's a problem too. So anyway, this story is called English to Korean. It's kind of a little bit of a romantic comedy, sort of, I guess. Okay. Oh my gosh, would you stop singing? Junpyo shouted with his hands over his ears as the short blonde girl sang the 15th Owl City song since the beginning of their nature walk. Again, Allison said with a goofy smile, I can't understand you, because I can't speak Korean. Junpyo just sighed on account of he couldn't understand her either. He was being forced to spend his 3-day vacation with someone from a totally different country, with the loudest personality in existence. How was he going to get through these next 2 days? Oh, come on, Mr. Grumpy Pants. If we're going to be together for the next few days, we might as well make the best of it. Even if we can't understand each other's languages, maybe there's still a way for us to understand each other. Junpyo gave her an irritated look, being that the only words he understood there were "oh" and "pants." Wait! Allison put a hand in front of him, bringing both of them to a halt. I have an idea. She reached for his pocket, and he dodged fast. Hey, what the heck are you doing? How do I explain this? Allison said to herself. Then she turned back to Junpyo and made a big hand gesture, while talking loudly and slowly, as if that would make it any easier to understand her foreign words. Do you have a phone? She made a pretend phone with her hand and held it up to her ear, repeating the word phone a few more times. Junpyo understood, but was still hesitant when pulling the phone out of his pocket. She held out her hand for him to give it to her. Why the heck did she want his phone? He barely knew her, and she just wanted him to hand it over? Hey, she said with a sweet smile. Trust me. Junpyo got the message from her eyes, not the words, and with a sigh, he placed the phone in her hand. Allison lifted the phone to her face with a smile, and into the mic she spoke. Siri, can you translate English to Korean? Soon after a translator popped up, and Allison screamed into the phone, Hi! Once it started loading, she held the phone up to Junpyo's face. 안녕하세요, Siri said. Junpyo smiled a little, finally understanding what she wanted the phone for. It works! Allison screamed. Great, now I can sing the songs to Siri, and you can actually understand the lyrics! Allison started saying the line after line to Siri, and then holding the phone up for Junpyo to hear, and this time he didn't sigh or groan. Instead, he chuckled, and with a smile he said to her, You know, you're actually kind of cute. What? Allison said. Oh, here, say it to Siri. But he didn't. He just kept walking with a big smile on his face. So yeah, that's the first one. I think the prompt for that one was to like put like two I think maybe it was like put together like a person I knew in real life with like a fictional character. And the guy was from like a Korean drama that I really liked. And the girl was a friend that I had from school. So yeah. Gracious. I'm so thirsty. That one's maybe not one of my bestest pieces ever, but I like it. Oh. Are we still good? Are we going? Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right. Now I will find another one. Oh shoot, I think I did a thing. Not a thing. Hold on. I know what to do. Okay. So, I've got an idea. Sorry, doing this requires some weird things to happen. Hold on. No, I don't want it like that. Ugh, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble getting the tabs to do as I wish them. Wait, I've got an idea. I just got the greatest idea that I've ever had. Hold on. Hold on, this is gonna be so cool. I just got it. And now? Yeah, that's the ticket. Okay, I got it. We're all good. Okay. Alright. Next we'll do... What sounds good for another one? How about... You know what, I'll just do the next one that I see. Not that one. Doing the next one I see doesn't sound good anymore because I don't want to do those ones. Okay. We'll do this one. This is the one I said I want an award for. Next one I see. Yeah, no, that one. Yup. This one I actually am still pretty proud of to this day. I feel like it's a pretty good story. So, here we go. It's called Spilled Milk. I believe the prompt for this one was like to take like a sort of like phrase or metaphor and like put like a interesting twist on it. So that's what I did. The job was supposed to be fast, clean, nobody gets hurt, easy money. We're in, we're out, and nobody's the wiser until we're long gone. That's what JJ said. Brian agreed to the job because he needed the money. That was all. Meet at Warehouse 16 tomorrow night, 11 o'clock. You're sure no one's home? I'm sure. Brian showed right on schedule, seeing JJ and some other unfamiliar men already loading up a black van for the job. They had guns. Good, you're here, JJ said, handing Brian a loaded shotgun that shone a shiny black in the moonlight. What is this for? Brian said, a cold stare in his eyes. Relax. It's just a precaution, just in case something goes wrong. Brian felt a knot in his stomach. Get out now while you still can. That's what his gut told him as he rode for miles in the back of the van, the gun like an anvil sitting in his lap. The house was huge. JJ said it belonged to some guy in the paper industry. Funny how you could make so much dough off of something as simple as paper. But then again, what was money made out of? Brian didn't know all the details of how they got in. Some guy called Jones was there for the security. He was just there for an extra hand. The safe was lined with cash, and the woman's room was full of pearls, diamonds, and pretty much every other precious jewel known to man. Bags and bags of money. Time to head out. Then a scream. JJ's scream. He was wrong. A guard was left. Brian watched the struggle, raising his gun as the two wrestled over JJ's. Take the shot, Bri! Take the shot! Slow breaths. He felt the coldness of the trigger. He shot. He missed. Slow breaths. He felt the coldness of the trigger. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the same line again. JJ finally took the man down, pushing him to the ground, and then giving him a bullet in the head. That's when Brian saw it. The child, no more than 8, maybe 7 years old. He had fallen on the coffee table when the bullet hit him, a motionless figure covered in red and white. He had fallen on his glass of milk, spilling it all over himself on the living room floor. Brian had shot him. He was murdered. He turned to JJ, raising his gun in blind rage. You said no one would get hurt. Said it was an easy job. So what are you gonna do, kill me too? Brian lowered the gun in shame and exhaustion. Stuff happens, man, JJ said. It's done. You know what they say. He smirked and nodded to the young boy on the coffee table. No use crying over spilled milk. So yeah, that's the end of the story. I know it's extremely messed up. I'm pretty sure in high school when I wrote that, I shocked the heck out of a few people in my class. But, yeah. What do you guys think? Thank you, Cakes. Thank you. Thanks, Shadow. I'm just like thinking about back when I first wrote it and like had people in my class read that for the first time and about like their reactions. Good times. You know when you're a high schooler and you write about someone killing a child? Anyway. Let's maybe go to another lighthearted one and then we can go back to another maybe intense one again. Here's a fun and a kind of cute romance one. This one's called Wingman. High school was more than 10 years ago. Yeah. For me, it was 8 years ago. But hey, crazy. Right. Yeah, this one's called Wingman. I don't know if there was a prompt for this one or if I just wrote it. I don't remember. Anyway. This one might have been something about wordplay? I don't remember. Usually I would write them getting a prompt, but every once in a while I would just write one for fun. Alright, here we go. Hey, David! Kaylee shouts with a gleam in her eye. I chase her to where David and Jaden stand on the side of the street. Do you want to go to the fair together? I was just about to head over there. I thought we were about to head over there. She elbows me in the side and then turns back to David with to give David a puppy dog look. I roll my eyes. Hi, Jody. Jaden waves beside David. I wave back with a smile. So, David, the fair? Kaylee asks again. David looks hesitant, as expected. He and Jaden exchange a look. Fine, he says, but Jaden's going too. That's okay, as long as we can go together. He starts walking towards the fair, and she grabs his arm, skipping next to him enthusiastically. I hear David groan as they keep walking. I turn to go home when a voice stops me. Aren't you coming? Jaden still stands there with his hands in his pockets. No, Kaylee really likes David, and I don't think she wants me around. Are you sure? You said you were going before. Well, I don't want to ruin things for her. Lately, David seems to actually be accepting her. I turn to leave again. Well, that sucks, he says behind me. I hate being a third wheel. Me too, I think as I continue walking. Especially when it comes to Kaylee and her mushy stuff. I take a few more steps and then turn back to see him leaving. Would you want to be left alone in that situation? Jaden, I call. He turns towards me and I run up to him. I guess I can go. Just so you have someone to talk to. Great, he smiles. We walk side by side behind the other two. Kaylee smiles and tries to talk to David. He mostly ignores her and rolls his eyes. I don't get why he said yes. It seems like everything she does annoys him, I say to Jaden. Oh, he can't stand her, he replies. Really? Then why has he been dealing with her so much lately? I wonder, Jaden says, smiling at the ground. A few seconds later, my hand is in his. And that's the end of that one. Pretty cute. I think it's kind of fun to like see things like that from like the perspective of someone who's like a little bit clueless to the situation, you know, kind of like a narrator who doesn't quite know what's going on, but the reader knows what's going on. You know what I mean? All right, next we'll do. This one's called Undead Inside. There's some crazy POVs that have been written. I know, right? I love interesting like point of views. There's this one book. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I read it. I don't even remember what it's called. I would have to like do some research and find it. So I took this one intensive class in high school that was all about dystopian literature. I love like stories about like dystopian societies. And there's this one book that we read where for most of the book everything that described like it was like talking, how do you say it, like in the we form, like we do this, we do that, but they were just talking about like themselves, like a single person. Um, because that was like how in that society they were taught, because like they were taught that like everyone was like all part of the conglomeration. Um, and then like later in the book they finally like learn that they are like an individual, and they finally like say like I am a person, I am da, 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 and like they have like this big epiphany, and it's like really cool and interesting. um uh so yeah, like it's, yeah, like the hive mind type crap. Yeah, like uh that was a really good book. I'll have to figure out what it's called. Let me see if I can find anything on it. Book where protagonist calls themselves we. Oh, no, not that. I don't want that. What the heck? Why did it correct to that? Goodness gracious. That is not what we're here for today, sir. What on earth? Okay, well now my internet's being dumb, probably because I'm streaming. Well, hold on. It's fine. If it doesn't respond in a couple seconds, I'll just use my phone to read. Because that's what you gotta do sometimes. That's what you get when you let your heart win. Whoa, I drowned out all myself away. Do you guys like to go to the moon and go to the big castle? And that's what you get when you let your heart win. Do you know that song, Cakes? Do you know Paramore? Ugh, my freaking leg. Yeah. I used to listen to a lot of Paramore. Every once in a while I still do. But I don't know, lately I've gotten into a little bit more of some other genres. My music taste kind of flies around everywhere sometimes. What am I doing? I meant to open... Oh crap, I forgot. Hold on. I'm so silly. Why am I so silly? I'm just a baby. Don't spank me. Don't spank me. Don't spank me. No, 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 no. Don't spank me. This is a bunch of barnacles. Okay, maybe. Maybe we're going. Cooking with gas, maybe? Okay, yeah, here we go. Is this the right one? Might have to change the... Here we go. We're gonna change email. Here we go, baby. Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what, so there we go. Okay. And then I was in flash fiction. Okay. I was about to read... Where is it? There it is. This one is called Undead Inside. This one, I think I did not have a prompt for this one. I think that I just wrote it because this was one that I remember when I was younger. I had like an idea for a movie. And then I ended up writing this story based off of that. So, yeah, here it goes. Brush my hair out of my face. Wishy-wah-wah. Gnashing teeth, muffled growls, lights on. Peter, sorry if you can hear that lawnmower. Let's start over. Totally threw me off. Gnashing teeth, muffled growls, lights on. Peter Vanden watches as the creature pulls at its chains, hungry for the food that sits before it, behind thick glass. He immediately turns to Casey. I thought I told you I wanted a male subject. This was the freshest one we could find and capture. Peter sighs, and then proceeds to examine the thing. Her matted hair, rotting flesh, the ripped clothing that seems like they could have been pajamas once. Now this thing has no need for sleep. The bite is on her arm, Casey says. Her predicted time of death is April 14th, 3014. Peter moves closer to the glass. The thing becomes wild, pulling forward, opening and closing its mouth. He looks into the faded blue eyes. Nothing. Dead. And not just the creature. Peter can see nothing but yet another dead end coming out of this. And he falls asleep that night with a thought still in his head. The next day, he begins his routine of regular testing. 5248, he pounds into the electronic keyboard, and the heavy metal door opens with a hiss. Surprisingly enough, the creature stays relatively calm, staring forward, gnashing its teeth, not even seeming to notice the young man. He nears it slowly, holding his clipboard tightly in hand. 2 steps, no change. 3 steps, no change. 1 step. To stand right in front of the monster. Still no reaction. She looks right through him. She seems almost tired, but that would be silly. The things don't feel fatigue. They don't feel anything. Peter looks down for a moment to write down his findings, when her arm jolts out to grab him. With inhuman strength, she slams him on the back wall. His heart is a racing bullet. His breath's fast and hard. The thing's rancid smell enters his nostrils as she lifts her mouth to his ear, but instead of the tearing of his flesh, he hears a strained voice. Help me. His breath slow for a moment. Shock settles in, then teeth sink into his shoulder. Peter awakes in a cold sweat. He immediately runs down the dark hallway to the testing room and flicks on the lights to shine on his test subject. Nothing has changed. She's riled up by his appearance and pulls hard in an attempt to reach her prey. Peter? Casey enters the room, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. What is it? Are there changes with the test subject? No, he says, still breathing heavily from the weight of the dream. But then he stops for a moment. He looks into the eyes of the subject, and this time he sees something. Emotion. Weakness. Sadness. Life. And that's the end of that one. I remember I had a lot of fun writing that one. I had a lot of ideas when it came to that, because like I said, I had an idea for like a movie and everything. Ooh. I really like zombies. You know, like my whole idea was like that she was somehow like reaching out to him through his dreams. And like slowly over time she would be able to like communicate with him better. I don't remember all the details though. Alright, let me take a look here and see what else we have. Drowned out of myself away, sound of it beating. Alright, let me see what I have in my other categories. Is this the one I think it is? Okay, this one is kind of an interesting idea. So, what we were supposed to do for this one was first we had to like kind of, I think at first we wrote down a real life experience that happened to us, and then we had to change that real life experience into a fictional scenario, like by like tweaking the scenario somewhat, like, you know, like take the real life experience, like the scenario, and like make it into like a fictional story by like changing things about it. And so this is what I came up with. I'll read you the story first and then I'll tell you what it was based on, what experience it was based on. The story doesn't have a name or anything. I don't think I came up with one, but 11 people, including me, stood shoulder to shoulder in an almost empty room. The room was huge, like the gymnasiums at school, only with higher ceilings. I rubbed my bare arms to keep off the chill, wondering how long we'd be spending in this strange room. Ahead of myself, the other trainees, our head trainer, Derek's, paced back and forth. He looked up and down at each one of us from head to toe, summing us up. When he got to me, he met my eyes with a sneer. Whatever he was thinking, it didn't seem good, and that scared me. No, not scared, just nervous. I couldn't be scared now that I was a Cerber. Today, Derek said with a cold smile, finally standing still, we will not only be testing your strength and courage, but your ability to work as a team. On the nearby wall, he opened a panel to reveal a series of colored switches. He flipped 2 blue ones to the on position, and the ground beneath us began to rumble, startling me. Ahead of us, the cold metal opened, and 2 small, square metal platforms rose from the ground. They stood a yard or 2 away from each other, and in between, a long, sturdy rope with 3 large knots in it fell from the rafters of the ceiling. 5 of you will stand on one platform, Derek's explained, 6 on the other. The ground in between the 2 is lava. But it isn't, said the girl on my right. Avin, it's just metal. Well, I guess you'll just have to use your imagination, Derek's retorts, clearly annoyed by the interruption. As I was saying, each of you will swing across the opposite platform of yours without touching the lava. Remember, this is a team activity, so all of you must make it across to be successful. If one of you fails, all of you fail. Failure, the worst thing that can happen to a citizen. It's been my worst fear ever since I was a child. It's everyone's worst fear. The National Society will keep you as long as you are of use to them, but if you fail them, they fail you. It's our duty to always succeed. 11 of us are crowded on 2 3-by-3-foot platforms, mine on the side closest to the exit. That gave me little comfort. Maybe if I messed up I could run, but it wouldn't matter. There's nowhere else to go. So crammed in between 4 other people, feeling the breaths of the tall boy behind me. Over and over I said to myself, I cannot fail. I must succeed. I cannot fail. I must succeed. One by one, trainees swung across, and not one of them seemed at all fazed by the task at hand. So why was I so nervous? Why was I pushing everyone else on the platform ahead of me when I should have been the first in line, wanting to just get it over with so we could move on to the next exercise? Beads of sweat ran down my forehead. Earlier, the room had been so cold. Had the temperature of the room really changed so extremely, or was it just my blood boiling out of anxiety? Finally, there was only 3 of us left. Me, a boy named Trace, and Ellen, a girl I'd met at school before. Across from us, Trace took hold of the second knot up, and with a firm grip, swung perfectly over the gap between our platforms. When he reached our platform, he almost lost his balance, and I grabbed his waist to stop him from falling. For a moment we stood inches apart, my hands on his waist, shock upon both our faces. When I realized my hands were still on him, I quickly moved them back to my sides. Then I scooched over as much as I could to let him pass. Awkwardly he did so, clearing his throat on the way. I hoped I hadn't embarrassed him. He seemed like the guy who I'd want to be friends with, and maybe even more than that. He was an attractive guy, tall and pale with dark hair. I had noticed him before. I remembered at school I would watch him sometimes at lunch hour. We had a few classes together, and in one we even sat next to each other, but I had always been quiet. I sometimes wondered if he thought anything of me. Anything at all. Probably not. I now stood at the front of the platform, swinging rope before me. I was about to invite Ellen to go before me, but she beat me to it, saying, "Go ahead." I think this was meant to be a kind gesture, but it put a weight in my stomach that I feared would snap the rope in half, sending me plummeting to the lava below. Reluctantly, I placed my hands upon the highest knot to give me as much support as possible. I gripped the rope so tight my knuckles turned white. Then I pulled, lifting my legs, and swung. Immediately, I felt warm metal scrape against my knees. In panic, my hands released the rope, and I sprawled into a pile on the floor. My face felt hot, and I knew I was turning red with blush. Everyone stared at me. Slowly, I made myself stand, but it only made it worse, because I had a better view of the angry stares from some of the others. A lump developed in my throat. I cannot cry, I said to myself. I will not cry. I moved aside so Ellen could go, and she, like the others, swung across with no problem. We all turned to Derek's to see what was next. For a moment, he just looked over all of us, seeming to stop on me longer than the others. Again, I felt that nervousness and held the hem of my black uniform to steady myself. Nonchalantly, Derek said to us, "Tomorrow you will do this exercise again. We will not move to any other training until this exercise is completed, successfully. Maybe next time you'll be more prepared." He didn't look at me, but I knew that it was directed at me. I was the only one who didn't make it across. My worst nightmare had come true. I had failed on the first day, and because of me, so had everyone else. Now I was a target. So yeah. um I said before I really like stories about dystopian societies, so that's kind of what I made this into. The real story is kind of an embarrassing moment from middle school. I've talked about before how my high school was. I went to, so actually middle school was when I first started going to like the sort of expeditionary learning school that I first started going to, and then I went to the high school afterwards. It was in 8th grade. Um, and we had the camping trip that we would go on at the beginning of every year. And we would do these team building exercises with our crew. Crew was a class that we had that was mostly for team building and career and college prep. And there was this one at the camp where we all had to like, it was like half of the class and half the class, we all had to stand on these like two tiny little wooden platforms, and in between was this long rope, and the guy actually did say that the floor between was lava, like, you know, was like pretending it was just dirt. We were outside. It was and I remember being extremely nervous because I knew that I am not strong. And I did not think that I would be able to do it. And then I got more and more nervous as I was seeing that everyone else was doing it quite easily. And everything kind of happened the way that I kind of wrote it in the story. Even the part with the guy who I kind of grabbed his waist. There was a guy that I liked in my crew. He and I actually ended up becoming best friends later. But at the time, I didn't know him that well, but I kind of had a crush on him. And he swung across, and I grabbed his waist so he wouldn't fall. And it was a little bit awkward. And and I felt really awkward. And then the girl behind me, who was my friend, was like, "Oh, go ahead," and everything. And I went to swing across, and I was the only one who didn't make it. And in real life, I like almost immediately started crying. And luckily there was a very nice parent there, who had been really, who had been hanging out with me a little bit while I've been there, and she helped me up, and she came over and hugged me and everything. And a lot of the kids there were really nice, and I think they actually thought that I was crying because they thought I was hurt. But the mom, she knew exactly. She came and she hugged me, and she said, like, it was okay. She said that she has no upper body strength either. And, she knew I was embarrassed. And, a couple of the others, moved on to the next exercise before me, and the mom sat with me and helped me calm down. And a little bit afterwards, my friend, double checked on me to make sure I was okay. And even the guy that I liked, he came back and asked if I was okay too. 'Cause he was a nice guy. And when he saw me crying, I think he was really worried about it. And I just remember being like super duper embarrassed that I was the only one who couldn't swing across. Oh, yeah, memories. Yeah. Now that I'm older, I feel like I wouldn't give a freaking crap. I would just been like, I would have just like gotten up and pointed at them all and been like, "Shut up! Shut up!" Like, but when you're in middle school, oh, that's a really vulnerable time, man. Like, Oh, crazy. Yeah, made a good story. All right, what else do I got here? There's this one. Oh, I don't know if I want to read that one. Okay, yeah, I kind of want to read this one. It's actually so sweet how everyone came to check it. It was. Yeah. There was a lot of really good kids there. Um, and um and we did other things. I remember actually the exercise after that was a much crazier one where like we climbed up this like really huge ladder with like this harness and everything, and then we would have to like jump off like into the open air. And I was terrified of heights, but I went much higher than I thought I could. And people like cheered for me and everything. And they thought I did a really like, they said it was like really brave of me. And that's why we did stuff like that, because it was like, we were working on conquering our fears and like, doing that type of team building stuff. It was like building character, like there was this other camping trip. I think this one was in high school, where we all climbed a 10-foot wall, like without rope or anything. Like we just climbed it. And there was like someone at the top who kind of like helped us up, like but yeah, and we made sure that all of us did it. It was crazy. I remember I got some crazy bruises on myself doing that. But we all did it. My whole class. Like that one, it was like, I think our entire grade was there. That might have been senior year. Like it wasn't just our crew, it was like our entire grade doing it together. Like we were like, we all gotta climb this 10-foot wall, do it together. It was 10 foot or 12 foot, something like that. And there was one boy who, he had been up there like helping people, like once they got their footing a little bit and climbed up there, like he would grab your hand and like help you the rest of the way up. And then at the end, he just jumped it because he's freaking athletic. Freaking show off. Yeah. Anyway, this one's I know, right? Cakes. There were some seriously crazy athletic guys that I went to school with. Like you would see it. Like I remember there was this one hip hop class that I took for intensive. So we took these intensive classes. So it would be like in the fall and the spring, you would take one class for 2 weeks straight, and that would be the only class you took all day long. Every day for 2 weeks straight. And you would get like special credits for it and stuff. And like I said, one of them I took was like about dystopian literature and stuff like that. I don't remember what credits I got for it, but there was this one that I took one on hip hop dancing, and oh my gosh, what a workout that was. But some of the guys in that, like I remember when we did the warm ups. There's this one guy who frickin' we would do these warm-ups where we had to like do these little like half hand things and everything, and for like most of us, like we were just kind of like going down on our hands a little bit and everything. He was frickin' just like doing like one hand handstands across the room, basically, like, just like a frickin' monkey. Like Some of those guys were crazy, man. And same guy's afraid of snakes, tiny little snakes. Like, you bring one up to him and, like, those teeny little baby gardener snakes, you bring one up to him and he'd freak out. One handstand is crazy. I know, right? Yeah. And some crazy guys. Anyway. This story is kind of weird. So this story was like a kind of weird exercise that we did in one of my creative writing classes where it was called sensory writing. So I think it started out with a picture. So like something we saw. And then I know there was music at one point. So it's like start out with the picture to start the story, and then like the music was like, so now we write based off of the music we're hearing, and that's going to change the story. And then I know at some point was something that we ate that changed the dynamic of the story. And then like something we smelled, like something like stuff like that, like, you know. And then as each thing went through, so like this story took like a lot of like twists and turns because of that. But I really like this story that I wrote. It's kind of crazy, but it's fun. It doesn't have a name, but anyway. Come on now, Mr. Poofs. We don't want to be late for our beauty appointment, the woman in green says, pulling her small puffball Pomeranian on his little bright green leash. I see the woman in green every day, though I've never taken the time to learn her name. But every week on Saturday morning, like clockwork, she walks down the street taking her dog to their beauty appointment. I've never been sure whose beauty appointment it is exactly, or what beauty means to this woman, considering her unique style. Though I don't know these things about the woman in green, I have learned many other things about her from her regular visits to my street. For example, I'm pretty sure her favorite color is green, based on the fact that she's always wearing it. She's loud, and more than that, proud and confident with who she is. And finally, she loves nothing more than her dog, Mr. Poofs. It's on this particular day, though, that I notice something different about the woman in green. She still calls that little Pomeranian Mr. Poofs, but here's the thing. It's not the same dog. Mr. Poofs is a small tan Pomeranian with a sequined green collar and a bubbly personality. This Pomeranian is black with a dark green collar, and I don't even know why she told him to come on now, because he hasn't stopped walking forward. I feel almost infuriated. Where is the real Mr. Poofs? Did he die? And if so, why is she now calling this dog Mr. Poofs? Is she so inconstant that she would just replace the dog she's had for years? I mean, what the heck? I picture the many times the woman in green walked down my street, Mr. Poofs right by her side, all the happy memories of his joyful barks towards me, her gentle cooing and love towards him. She loved him, didn't she? He was her dog. She couldn't replace him. But she did. She totally forgot about the real Mr. Poofs, cast him aside for another. It makes me sick. Either that or she's crazy. She doesn't know the difference between Mr. Poofs and this dog. Mourning Mr. Poofs was too hard to take, so she's pretending he never left. What could it be? Finally, I decide that I should stop. Slow down. Don't just jump to conclusions. Ask her. So before she makes it to the end of the street, I run up and shout, "Excuse me, ma'am." She turns to me with a kind smile. "Yes, dear? What can I do for you?" "Well, it's just, you call this dog you're walking Mr. Poofs, but I see you walking Mr. Poofs every day, and this isn't him, is it?" The woman gives me the most gentle and wise look I've ever seen her give. "You did it, Annabelle," she said. "You passed the test. I was beginning to think you never would." "What? Wait, how do you know my name? I've never even talked to you before." "Exactly. You never cared enough to. You were always so busy, never taking the time to just slow down and notice the things around you." "What do you mean? I've noticed you every day. You walk down my street." "Not all of me. You see, every day I walk down here, I look different. Sometimes I'm white, sometimes black, even Asian. Sometimes I'm blonde, sometimes brunette. The only thing that never changed was my clothes and my dog. But you never cared enough to talk to me until my dog changed. All of a sudden I saw it. Images of the woman in all different races, but the same green coat flashed through my head. Why? I asked. That's my question, Annabelle. Why did you only notice when my dog changed? I thought about it, and all of a sudden it was clear. I guess I didn't care what you looked like, just who you were. Even though I didn't know you, it was your love of the dog that made me like you. When I even began to think you didn't really love him, it hurt me. The woman smiled widely. Then they were right about you. What do you mean? You'll understand. Then she was just gone, vanished out of thin air. The next day, when I come out to sit on the porch to continue knitting a blanket I've been making for my niece, I'm startled by a basket, and even more so what it contains. A child, no more than 5 months old, lies asleep on my porch. I urgently pick up the child and look around to see who could have left her, but there's no one around. I look down at the child. She's not a beautiful baby, I now noticed. She's deformed, but all I feel looking down at her is love, because I know that one day she can be beautiful, no matter what she looks like. So yeah, kind of a weird story when I look back at it now. But I just wrote what the sensory gave me at the time. Why did it? What? Oh. Oh, here's this one. This one I posted in the grotto, but I... Alright, bye, Shadow. Have a good day, bud. Thanks for coming. Right. This one's also kind of a weird one, but I like this one a lot more. This one I wrote kind of later. This I think I wrote this one senior year. It's it's a romance. It's kind of quirky. I posted this one. Actually, I think I posted it in not in the grotto, in your Discord cakes. But I'll read it. It's called She Hides the Back of Her Neck. Part of the reason why I made the choice with the thing that I did, because I know that's kind of a weird placement. Well, I'll read the story first and then I'll explain some things. Anyway. I'd never felt the need to have friends. I was a boy with standards that not many people met. I enjoyed the quiet, the time I spent with just myself. I like to think, to read, though in a city like this it was hard to find places to do it. There was one place, though, in the school basement, in the corner by the boiler. The janitor agreed to leave the door unlocked, and in return, I cleaned the windows down there twice a month. Over time, I created my own little place in the basement. In my corner was a cozy beanbag chair, several stacks of my favorite books, all of it sitting under a small barred window that allowed the sun to leak in perfectly. Every free moment I had at school was spent in that basement, all just to get some quiet. At least, that's how it was at first. Then she showed up. I didn't notice her at first. She was quiet and didn't do much but sit. But each day she inched further and further along the bench outside my window, and soon she was blocking my sun, and I had to look up at her. She always wore her hair down, with a large red stocking cap. A baggy denim jacket rested over different colored jeans, red, blue, black, green. They were always dark, rich colors, and she never went a day without wearing her brown boots, laced from top to bottom. I never saw what kind of shirt she wore under the jacket. She always had her back to me. But every once in a while, when she turned her head, I saw her thick juniper glasses resting on her face. She wasn't necessarily an attractive thing. I'd call her average at best, but there was something intriguing about her. Maybe it was the fact that she never ate. Of course, I'm sure she did sometime, but not at lunch, when she obviously had plenty of free time. It seemed strange to me, even for someone who might be watching their weight. Every day at noon, there she sat, sometimes for hours at a time, headphones jammed in her ears, just basking in the sunlight. For days I watched her, wondering. For days it was the same. On Friday, though, as I was wiping down the windows for the second time that month, I looked up to find her sitting at the bench again. Only this time something had changed. Her hair was no longer down, but pulled back in a carefully woven braid, that stocking cap still sitting atop her head. And there was something else. She wore her collar high up on her neck, unusually, as if there was something she was hiding. As I watched her sit quietly, the way she always did, I began to put pieces together, making a list. She doesn't eat lunch. She sits in the sun for hours every day. She seems to have a very strict routine. She hides the back of her neck. The picture I was building startled me. It couldn't be. It was ridiculous. She wasn't... No. I quickly pushed the silly thought away. A robot? Going to my school? It was absurd. Like a story from one of my books. Pure fiction. The window cleaner must have been going to my head. But still, it was an interesting thought. I imagined a solar panel sitting at her front as she sat in the afternoon sun, filling her with the energy she wouldn't get from food. A small power converter stuck out the back of her neck to be plugged in and charged every night. Her creator made her because he couldn't have a child of his own. After his wife died, he couldn't bear to remarry, but he had always yearned to be a father, and being that he was a skilled robotics scientist, it didn't take long to make plans for a humanoid robot. He gave her a personality of strong will and kindness, made her a stubborn girl, like his wife was. She started to develop more personality than he had programmed her with. She was quiet, but sincere, and she kept many secrets that even her father didn't know. She was protective of her family, of all innocent people. She knew she had the ability to become a hero, but in order to do so, she had to live in the shadows. It was the only way to protect her father. He sent her to school to learn more about other children her age. By day, she was the quiet loner, charging herself with solar power at lunchtime. By night, she was a vigilante, cloaked in shadows. I thought of the story often, making up different scenarios for the robot girl to face. It was the first time I'd ever made up a story on my own. It was exciting. It made me wonder what it would be like to be a writer. What other stories could I come up with? I began writing down in the basement, and as I sat, I watched her and wrote her story that only I knew. It was strange. I used to go down there to be alone. Now every day I waited eagerly to get to the basement just to see her, a girl I didn't even know the name of. I liked to watch her. I longed to know her. It was a feeling I'd never felt before. I spent time wondering what she liked, who were her friends, what did her voice sound like. All of a sudden she was the most beautiful mystery I'd ever found. There were days when I thought about going out and finding her on the bench, talking to her, seeing what she was really like. But every time my courage faltered, and I still just sat and watched. Until that one fateful day, the bell rang for lunch, and I rushed through the halls and down the stairs to the basement. Once I reached the door, however, I stopped, because I heard something. A soft whimpering on the other side. Slowly, I pushed open the door and saw her. She sat in the middle of the room, tears dripping on the concrete floor. Her hands were by her neck, her nails digging deep into her own flesh. She sat and cried for the longest time, not even knowing I was there, until I finally worked up the courage to walk forward and gently place my hand on her shoulder. She gasped and looked at me with wide eyes. Quickly wiping her tears, she said, Sorry, I didn't know anyone was down here. I just found the door unlocked. Her voice was as beautiful as I had imagined. We both sat there for a moment, silent. She stared at the ground. I stared at her. Are you all right? I asked. She was quiet for a moment, but then she looked up at me and whispered, No. I knelt down beside her and wrapped an arm around her shoulders. To my surprise, she quickly wrapped both arms around me and nuzzled her face in my chest. I sat in the basement that day and held her and let her cry in my sweater. And it's a strange story, but I think that's what makes it beautiful. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. My wife comes over and brings me a cup of coffee. What are you working on? She says with a smile, leaning over my shoulder to look at the computer screen. A love story, I reply. The most beautiful love story in the world. She kisses my cheek and then heads back to the kitchen. She's still a hero in my eyes, even without the robotic powers. She's always telling me that I saved her, but we saved each other. We will always save each other. And as I kiss the scars on the back of her neck, I know things will be all right, because even when she gets depressed, I will always be there to hold her. So yeah, I still like that one. It is kind of quirky and yeah, I know like the back of the neck thing might be kind of weird, but the reason why I did that is because actually that was something that I used to do. When it came to stuff like that, I really only ever like used my nails, and I used to do it on the back of my neck because like that was a place where no one would see it, I think. I don't know, I think that was like just like a convenient place. I don't know. I remember though, my best friend still always noticed. There were several times when he stopped me. But yeah. If you're ever struggling with anything, you know, talk to someone. You know, never be afraid to reach out, because I really do truly believe that everyone has worth, and there's always hope, and everyone is loved by someone. You might not think that you are, but I guarantee you that there is someone who loves you. And I believe God loves you. You might not believe in God, but I do, and I believe He loves you. No matter who you are. Lots of loves for you, Keiki. Alright. I think we're gonna go ahead and end things here. Is there someone that we can raid though? I think it might just be you and me, Cakes, but still, it'd be nice to raid someone. Oh yeah, Koss is streaming right now. He's doing Skyrim, right? And Koss is another writing buddy. So how do I do this again? It's like slash... Is it slash raid? Or is that it? Cakes, can you remind me how to raid? Wait, I gotta do it in the actual Twitch thing, that's why. Okay. That. Okay. Did I accidentally lose my... Where did it go on here? I might have lost where it was on my other... Like, I might have lost my creator dashboard. Hold on. Did I accidentally lose my... Well, now you're gonna hear me twice. That's okay. Hold on. Where's my pee pee poo poo ha ha ha? Community. No, that's not. What am I doing? Stream manager. Okay. Well, it says we have 2 viewers, but maybe that was just me. All right. Unless someone else is watching. Okay. Raid. And then Kasura VT. Okay. And we're going to go give him lots of love and affection. I'm going to tell him he's a good boy. Alright, I'll see you over there in just a second. Let's go.